Hello everybody, this is the next video to the series of the Reverse Trike. I got the 14-inch, 1-inch axle today from BMI Carts. Now on a lot of parts that you'll use on an axle, they'll come with set screws that you'll turn into the axle to help hold the part in place, whether it's the sprocket, some tires come with them on the hub, the brake, and some pillow block bearings come with them in them too. They have a little extra flange that's on the side where the axle will slide into, and then you'll just tighten those set screws and they tighten down in there. One thing you can do on those set screws is before you tighten them down, you figure out all your adjustments and you place everything. Now one thing with those set screws is that a lot of times from the vibration of the cart going down the road or whatever, those set screws can vibrate out. Now when it comes to setting those set screws, once you get everything adjusted and you know where you want everything to be, a good practice is to take the set screws out and then put some Loctite around the threads and then tighten them in. I personally don't like the idea of everything being dependent upon how tight these locking screws get, even with the Loctite on them. So what I'm going to do here is I have the axle set up, I have everything on, and I adjusted the distances on everything, and I'm going to add spacers in between everything so everything's a nice tight fit. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put spacers. I've got 1-inch round tubing here. The inside diameter is 1 inch, and I'm going to cut a few little pieces off of that and slide that over the 1-inch axle to act as spacers. And I've already adjusted everything here, and the tire from the edge is 1 inch. It looks like it's about 1 inch and 1/16. The other side is also 1 inch and 1/16. So I've measured that out. So in between the flange of the pillow block and the sprocket, and I've distanced the sprocket also, is about 1/8 inch. So I'm going to cut a piece that's 1/8 inch thick. On the inside, where the sprocket is at, almost touches the inside hub of the wheel. That I can't get a tape measure in there, so it looks like it's a little bit more than 1/4, but not quite 1/2. So I'm assuming I'm just going to eyeball it and throw in a 3/8 in there. Over here on this side, between this point here and the flange of the pillow block bearing, I measured it out to be about 2.5 inches, so I'm going to cut a piece that's 2.5 inches. In between the brake disc hub and the flange of the brake, or of the pillow block bearing, that's about 1/4 inch right there. So I'm going to cut 1/4 inch. Notice here how I've taken the flanges of both pillow blocks and I've brought them inward. I set them in. It's going to be a little bit harder for me to get in there with an Allen wrench to tighten those screws, those set screws, but that's alright. I'll figure something out. I'll be able to get in there. And then I'll just put the nut on the outside. I'll probably have to put a piece out here somewhere that'll go in between the nut. Once I get the nut on, I'll probably have to cut another piece to act as fill right there. So, here we go. Okay, well, I'm rocking out to some Darrell Hall Oates. Yeah! Let's see. So I've got the 8 here. I've got the 3/8 right there. I've got the 1/4 right there, and I've got the 2 1/2 right there. So now all I got to do is clean them up and make them look real pretty. Yeah. Alright, well I use my files to get all the burrs out and everything, but I still notice that there are a little bit of sharpness around, and where I've got little sharps at that's where there's burrs. And if I just leave them on there, yeah, they'll wear out, but the chance of one of those burrs coming out and getting in one of these bearings and crap, you know, that might happen. So I'm gonna pull out a chunk of old sandpaper. Actually, it went on a belt for a belt sander, and I'm gonna run this over all the parts here. Try to get rid of all those little tiny burrs. Okay. So what I'm gonna do. First one goes in. It's 8. Slide on. Now for sprocket. After the sprocket, there's the 3/8 for the tire. Now the 2.5. Come on. Okay. Roll that. Rubber mallet. About a quarter. And the disc. Alrighty. Everything feels tight. Now let's see if this is correct. Let me tape measure. Pretty dang close. I'm within a 1/16. Yeah. Now all I have to do is put in take it all back apart and put in the keys and all that crap, and I'll be putting a piece of angle iron in here and putting holes in the angle iron, then putting holes in the angle iron going this way, and then sticking these bolts right into the angle iron, and voila! Figure out the hole pattern for that, and my mechanical or my hydraulic disc brake will be installed. Yes. And then we'll be able to put this all together, and then when you're done, then you can be able to talk just as weird as I do. Yeah! Now I'm putting it all together. I'm putting in the keyways. I'm putting in the keys to it. It goes together better when it's off the frame, so that we can just stack everything right up onto it. Okay, so I got everything all set back up. I've got all the keys in everything except for the brake disc, and see how the bolts are not tightened all the way on to the axle. So if you figure in, each bolt has about 1/4 of an inch way to get nice and snug all the way on the axle. So what that's going to do is, once I tighten up this nut and the nut on the other side, that will close off, and each one coming in 1/4 of an inch, and the other side 1/4 of an inch. That will close off this 1/2 inch gap right here. So everything will be nice, snug, and tight. I thought I had some steel around here that I'd be able to use. I was planning on using this piece of 1.5" angle iron to hold the brake caliper on, but that's not going to work. I'm going to have to actually get a nice, good, snug fit, make sure that it's up high enough. I'll have to go and get some well, if they have 1x3 angle iron, then I'll get that, so it'll be 1 inch by 3 inches high. But if not, then I'm going to have to get 3x3 and cut off 2 inches of it, so that way I'll be able to put the angle flat side there, and then the side going up, and then I'll have to cut out a groove out of it, so the angle iron will have a cut U shape in it. So that's the reservoir thingy right there will go fit snug into that. So that's what I'm gonna be doing. And I haven't tightened up any of the set screws yet or anything like that. I wait to do all that stuff last. Woo! And there we go. Pretty nice, eh? I think so. Okay, so that's what I did today. It took a little bit longer than what I expected.